we're gonna shoot while you guys do that. So go ahead.
Can we be running around the background?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
We can wait 5 minutes. It's not a big deal.
It adds to.
Planned it. He's like, yeah, my minions are in the background. I see your whole plan here, Ron.
Come on, we can't give him that much credit.
Welcome to Fill the Speed. This episode is going to be all about the 24-hour. It's actually one of the special events thrown kind of by Dirt Bike Magazine. I have Ron Lawson here from Dirt Bike Magazine, and
well, the title sponsor is John Burr Cycles in Fontana, and they've stepped up to it for a number of years right now. What I do and what the staff of the magazine and Gary Jones, we all kind of get together and we try to help out with the course, because anymore there are certain restrictions on the land they can use, and we try to still put together a really top quality off-road event. And since we're all kind of off-road guys, we put the emphasis there. We try to make it not just a 24-hour motocross.
You know, these events, how long have it, what's like 20 years you guys been doing these races now, or?
You know, to tell you the truth, and that's a bad sign that I don't even know. I know that I've been at Dirt Bike a long time, and it seemed like we started doing it, cooperating with Glen Helen shortly after that to help put these on. You know, interestingly enough, the idea for the event, I think, goes way back to a District 38 race that was it was called the Rock Around the Clock back in the early 90s. Wow. It was every other year, and that was put on by a guy named Otis Fuddpucker, for real. And he's no longer with us, but when that event kind of stopped, then Glen Helen picked it up and started doing it every single year.
Talk about this year's course, and maybe, you know, for somebody that's never did this race before, what can they expect? What kind of bike does best at a 24-hour?
Well, still, after all this time, it's still, people generally just want to have something that's Stone Axe reliable. You know, it's not about how fast you go, it's just how long you go. Because there isn't one team that makes it through this event without trouble of some kind. And it's almost always in the middle of the night. And luckily, as time has progressed, we have a lot of aftermarket companies that have stepped up and really made reliable and affordable off-road lights. Back in the day, it was all about making the lights work all the way through the night. So the course is generally just under 10 miles around. We generally shoot at trying to keep the pros to about a 20-minute lap time, which means the amateurs can be all the way up to a half hour. And then it kind of ties in all the resources we have at Glen Helen, because there's a regional park, and technically we're allowed to go in there. We just got to not step on their toes too much.
Right.
There's some off-road trails in the ridges, and then of course there's 2 full motocross tracks. There's the Lucas off-road truck track, and by the time we tie in all that together, like I said, about 10 miles, and it has everything in it, even a little bit of pavement sometimes.
Is there any kind of hint for this year's race? Is there anything you're looking at, you know, that you want to give a hint on what's coming up in 2 weeks? Is there any new stuff that you're going to try, or?
We're going to go out this Thursday and try to cut some new trail. It's hard this time of year because we haven't had any rain, and pretty much when we're in that kind of situation, we stick to what we have.
I'm going to put all the information for the race fees, down below in the description, so you can check all that out. As far as pro teams, have you heard, is there going to be any pro teams coming this year? Or, because I know generally, like, what was it, 10 years ago, I mean, all the factories used to go there, and I've heard that they actually used to, like, develop their off-road versions at this race or use it as a tool. Does that still happen? Or?
Yeah, somewhat. In the days when Honda's Baja team was in-house, it always used to be a month before the 1000. And so once they got their bike built, you know, back in the 650 days in particular, they would develop that for in time for Glen Helen, and it would be a dry run for all their mostly their lights and things like that. it's not really that way now for the JCR team. They still come out and they've still won it a number of times. I'm not sure if they're coming out this particular time, but I know that Ty Davis has a team with Dalton Shirey coming out, and
Do they have a little? I hear they're doing like a little kid team.
Yeah.
65s. Or?
yeah, Ty's son is he's a 65 size kid right now,
Yeah.
and he's got his buddies, and they're going to try and make it around the course. I've talked to Ty about it, and we're not going to make the course any different, especially for them, but he's familiar enough with the terrain that I'm not worried about it, because he wouldn't send his kid out there if
Yeah.
he didn't have confidence that he could make it around. But it'll still be fun to watch him and see how well he
And I think it's going to be the first time a 65 team is going to do the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'd have to go back and check, but I remember when we first started getting 85s, and we were concerned about getting them up some of the hills, and proved to be a non-issue, you know. So this is just the next step: get some 65s
Wow.
out there. And see
So
what they
if
do.
you're, you have some kids at home that want to race for 24 hours on 65s, you might want to check it out. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a big step. I mean, we're going to actually allow chase riders to follow those guys, and so more or less so the kids and their parents feel confident that nothing
Right.
bad can happen, and I'm pretty sure they're going to make it.
Okay, well, thanks, Ron, for giving us the inside scoop. We'll put all the information again down below in the description box. You could follow Dirt Bike Magazine at Dirt Bike Magazine on Instagram, Facebook. We'll put links in the description below as well. So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.